there is, I would say, a very bullish projection from OpenAI. And this projection is that by the year of 2030, Mike, fasten your seatbelt.
Okay.
The ads business will gross $102 billion.
Not 100.
No, 102 billion. Not 100 million, 102 billion US dollars.
102.
102. Yeah, this, I don't know where the 2 is coming from. they have to be very, very sure about that number.
Yeah.
Which, and by the way, this is very important, which is roughly 36% of their overall revenue.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, we were certainly wrong, but only in the case that this projection will become reality. And I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I doubt it, Chris. I don't think this is realistic at all. Welcome to another episode of Growing E-Commerce. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Ryan, and with me is
Christian, enjoying a Red Bull. Are we allowed to say that? Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. We've talked about it's an Austrian product. We're proud of it. No sponsorship. Man, the day we get a Red Bull sponsorship, we'll have to do the podcast while we're jumping off a plane on a parachute or something.
Yes. We did it, and then I think we can ride into the sunset.
Yeah, or we need to be extreme sport or something. My knees are not good for that. But on today's episode, we've got a couple of topics for you. We're going to talk about the sale of D2C darling Allbirds.
It had to be a massive sale, I assume, right?
Well, yeah, they were valued at $4 billion, and then a multiple on that, or I don't know.
And at least 10 billion, but we will find out.
And then we're going to talk about some updates to OpenAI's ad platform, which we talked about 1 or 2 episodes ago. There's news, of course. It's a fast-changing environment. So
I assume it's a very advanced interface. You can do a lot of things.
Yeah. Keep assuming.
Yeah. Keep assuming. You're wrong.
You know what happens when you assume, right, Chris?
Yes, I assume.
You make an ass out of you and me.
Okay. I didn't want to do that because I know better.
Did you hear that joke?
Yeah, no, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it's an old one.
Let's start with Allbirds.
Allbirds. Let's jump into it.
Okay.
So
give us some context.
Allbirds. Well, yeah. So back in the 2010s, this was like this hot D2C, digitally native brand where they were just part of that, informal dress code of Silicon Valley. Everyone in Silicon Valley, they had
selling shoes primarily, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, these were sustainable, arguably wool shoes. I think the company started in New Zealand, and they got a subsidy from the New Zealand government to use their wool or something like that. And then they attracted some capital because they were this nice, profitable, subsidized business.
Then they were San Fran based. Where else? I mean, of course, they went there.
Well, maybe that's where the confusion happened.
Maybe. But okay, and they were a darling for a long time, and the valuation peaked at $4 billion.
$4 billion, yeah. I mean, I remember there were articles back then questioning their $1 billion valuation, and then it went to $4 billion.
Went to 4, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to take I don't want to shit on Allbirds, or it's what the environment was at the time.
Yes.
Warby Parker for glasses, Casper for mattresses.
Yeah. Was the right environment for them. But okay, so $4 billion valuation. What's the selling price now? I assume it has to be a solid number.
Yeah, well, it's a multiple because it's a multiple. It's 39 million though, because their current value is I don't know, 23 or 26 million or something.
Okay, so there's still a multiple.
Yeah, there's some kind of multiple on there.
But they fell off a cliff.
Yes. Yeah, I mean
that's 99% of what they have been worth.
Yeah,
according to analysts.
Yeah, and I mean they fell off the cliff a long time ago. But
that's true.
But I think this is just generating some buzz again because of the sale, and it's not what anybody imagined or wanted.
I mean, like I said, we talked about that. Not that surprising, unfortunately, because they just had super rough years. Mounting losses. Yeah. And I think no trajectory and no plan how to bring this back into a certain trajectory and dynamic. So, like you said, we're not dancing on the graves. I think, and still selling a company at 36 million. Hopefully, there's some left for the hardworking people there.
Yeah.
But it's telling, right? I mean, there's more to it.
Sure. I mean, and in a different timeline, 39 million for a shoe company. That's great. That's a great company.
Great. Yes.
That's a nice business.
Especially.
But yeah, the question is more about how we were at 4 billion.
At 4 billion, yeah.
And that was not rational.
Yeah.
And it's not there. I mean, they had, well, it's partly they invited this a bit. Of course, they had good publicists. They got good press. But they just, it was this trend that at the time, D2C was really, it was
big thing.
It was overestimated as a business model.
Yes.
We talked about this in one of our early episodes with Nike.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so the best in the game were under the same kind of illusion.
Yes.
But as we've said in the past, retail matters. Retailers have a value. They're not just middlemen.
For sure. Yeah. And I think this is the biggest story to all the listeners working or owning retail businesses. You're there for a reason, right? I mean, there are certain core competencies D2C players just don't have by the nature of the business. I mean, maybe we can have another episode to talk about that in detail again, because it's more relevant than ever. And back to Allbirds, yes, I mean, look, they were valued as a tech company.
Yes.
And they were operating as a shoe company. So I think that's where the failure lies. Can we find them?
I'm tempted, I feel
you're
like...
tempted. I know you're tempted.
I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to take the bait.
Is there another company which is...
reminds me of one of Chris's favorite stocks, Tesla.
Yes.
Which to me is an automaker valued as a tech company.
Yes.
And we debate this,
we should have one episode just for the sake of the correctness of Tesla's valuation. maybe a Christmas episode.
Dude, I know you're going to have like 42 slides. I'm going to fall asleep. Okay, Chris, I got it.
No, we're all good. But time will make a fool. I mean, because with Tesla, it is binary. Rather, I'm right, or I'm completely wrong.
One of us is right, one of us is wrong, and I'm the one who's right.
But I'm happy as long as I'm right. But man, back to Allbirds, I think this is the biggest story.
Yeah.
For us, that online retail has more relevance than ever, and at the same time, it gets tough of online retailers due to the Chinese players entering the European e-commerce stage and so forth. We talked about that. But yeah, I mean, good for them that they sold it.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think we're at this crossroads of, like, the way I view the role of retailers. I think that it's kind of this, it takes a village type reality. But on the other hand, then we see the concentration going on with marketplaces and stuff like that.
Yes.
So we'll have to
find
see
out
how this shakes out.
We'll find out.
Yeah. But let's move on to our second topic then. OpenAI ads. Yeah, we did a couple episodes ago. We talked about this.
Yes.
Yeah. And Chris, I think you said time makes fools of us all.
Yes.
OpenAI has released some projections. Do you want to make any retractions? How do you feel?
To all my listeners, I think 1 week ago, Mike shared a text message with me referencing to a new official OpenAI revenue projection. Because we were kind of, just to give context, we were kind of critical of the OpenAI ads business, the trajectory they shared with the market, that they more or less created a 100 million ARR run rate within 2 months, and everyone was freaking out. And we put this in context with regards to the burn rate, and this is a drop in the ocean. But then it seems like we were completely wrong, because, ladies and gents, there is, I would say, a very bullish projection from OpenAI. And this projection is that by the year of 2030, Mike, fasten your seatbelt.
Okay.
The ads business will cross $102 billion.
Not 100.
No, 102 billion. Not 100 million, 102 billion US dollars.
102.
102. Yeah, this, I don't know where the 2 is coming from. They have to be very, very sure about that number.
Yeah.
which, and by the way, this is very important, which is roughly 36% of their overall revenue.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, we were certainly wrong, but only in the case that this projection will become reality, and I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I doubt it, Chris. I don't think this is realistic at all.
Why that? Do we have benchmarks here?
Sure.
I know you have some.
Yeah, and actually, hold on, I haven't fully done my homework here because maybe I'll be able to add something in post to correct myself. But I mean, to me, the benchmarks here would be looking at Amazon ads,
Meta,
or TikTok, Meta. Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, I like Amazon and TikTok because they're even younger than Meta is, and these are some of the fastest growing ad platforms in history.
In history, yeah.
And they're layered upon massive assets, specifically massive user bases, and they had very compelling value propositions from day one. And I'll have to look up some specific numbers, but this is like a different order of magnitude how fast OpenAI.
It would be unprecedented.
Yes,
let's face it,
unprecedented. That's
and I mean the thing which concerns me here again. Why they do it? Why they are so certain about the 102 billion?
Yeah,
it has never been done before, and
this reminds me, Chris. This is like the inverse. You know, when you buy something and you buy it for like $99 instead of 100, they put like 102 instead of 100. So like just I think it's some little psychological thing for their slide deck.
It's certainly bigger than 99 billion.
Yeah, well, if they put 99 billion, people would say not even 100 billion.
No, I think it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And talking about how realistic this is, I think there's, and of course, time will tell. And we stated that we want OpenAI to succeed because I think it's good for the end consumers using these platforms, because more competition means mostly more progress. But shed some light, Mike, on how their ads environment looks right now, and because this might be telling where they are compared to Meta, TikTok, Google. And I found it super interesting when we did some prep for the podcast. Maybe you just start right away.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is that until recently, and everyone starts somewhere. So again, this is a moving target, and this could age badly to a certain extent. But they were using Microsoft Excel templates as their user interface. But you know, there are publicly traded platforms like AppLovin that I don't know, that was self-serve for the longest time. It might still be. I'm not even sure. Excuse me, it was not self-serve. It was fully managed, I should rather say. But they do have a UI out now, and it's very simplistic. And I think, though, a user interface anyway it doesn't matter if it's an ugly UI, if it works or what's in there. Doesn't have to be, but what's in there is still quite primitive. We're talking about basically, in many ways, a Google Ads equivalent of 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yes.
And again, that doesn't mean that they can't succeed, because for a long time, Amazon ads, that's a keyword-based search platform, or at least parts of it. And a lot of that looked like Google Ads from 5 years prior and stuff like that. And it still managed to be a very successful and growing platform. So this does not say that they cannot succeed, but it shows you how far they have to come.
Yes.
Because let's just talk about a few of the core components here. You basically have campaigns, and you have a start date, an end date, and a budget.
So very important.
Yeah.
It's basically a flight-based approach.
That would be a flight, yeah.
So because I mean, it's not an always-on Google Ads campaign where you're more or less demand-led and capturing demand on a constant basis. You have to think in flights as of now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it's flight-based. I think this is okay for the state that they're in right now, because right now the only goal that you can really optimize on is CPM. They actually operate with fixed CPMs for the moment. So
at what I know what it is, but it's a high one, right?
Yeah, it's $60 per 1,000 impressions, which is, by the way, also what Netflix started. And there could be a strategy there to put this high price anchor or something like that, make it feel premium. But that's like Super Bowl. That's like Super Bowl level. It's very expensive.
And I can remember the first talks we had with Netflix. What was it? 2 years ago? Because we're a big Microsoft partner, and they had the cooperation basically with the Microsoft ad tech environment or tech stack. The CPM they came up with, it was around 50, 60, might even have been higher than the 60. Literally no client of ours. And I think it was not tied to our lack of selling approach. They just said, no way, this can't work.
Yeah.
So crazy basic starting CPM.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, if that's what, if you view it as a brand activity for right now, and there's right now the initial spend commits are very high as well, and so this does appeal to a certain type of advertiser, these very large businesses,
brands for sure.
Yeah, who might be able and willing to check this out. But when we talk about scaling it to 100 billion, everything needs to change, basically.
Yes, the big brands won't make it for OpenAI.
No, they need everyone to advertise there, really everyone. And this gets on to like getting into their capabilities a bit further. So let's dig into that architecture. There's your campaign. It's your core entity. Then you've got ad groups and ads. Very familiar from other ad platforms. And this is where it's really interesting because if we talk about the ads, they have basically one ad type right now. There's the components to it are a title, an ad copy, a link where you want to send the traffic, and then you can optionally add one square image. And even if you look at, this is like getting a little nitty gritty here, but the title lengths and the description lengths, these are like Google ads from 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, before expanded text ads and RSAs and all this stuff. It's like looking in a little time machine to what a very primitive Google ad looked like 10 years ago. But of course, Google ads was a big business 10 years ago. It doesn't mean that this format can't work, but just they get into this comparability question. And
that's a big thing. Look, I mean, because I don't know, like, again, I don't want to be too harsh on them. They will do their thing anyway, and I hope they succeed. But this would be very much sugarcoating for them to say, Google started at a certain level as well. Guess what? When they started, the market was a different one.
Yeah, the expectations were different. Everything was
different. Of course, and I wouldn't call it a blue ocean for Google 10 years ago, but it was a different market. There was way more upside for them. They will be compared to the Metas, TikToks, and Googles of the world. And if you are providing that level for too long, and on top the performance metrics are not adding up, you will have an issue to gain market share. I would really be very, very. It would be very, very concerning.
Absolutely, and on this note of comparability, one thing that they have in here, which I think is, I don't know.
I know what's coming, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
Spit it out.
Keywords.
Keywords. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess the reason that blows my mind a little bit is because this is supposed to be the replacement of keyword advertising. This is supposed to be the replacement of Google Ads, the next generation. And I think the way that they frame these keywords is that it's like a hint for their targeting.
Like the themes in PMax, right?
Yeah, like search themes in PMax.
Search themes,
yeah, exactly. But Google is actually at the point where they're starting to leave keywords fully behind. They have, you can still do keyword advertising in Google, but they also have fully keywordless advertising at this point as well.
End to end.
Yes. And if you add search themes in PMax, by the way, because Google reads your landing pages, they understand, and they can do everything that they need from there. If you can debate about how well they do it, but they can do everything they need from there. And we even talked that in the future they might also build the landing page for you, but a few episodes back. But I just feel like it creates this unflattering comparison.
Yes, because the themes are. It seems like that the keywords we're talking about now with regards to OpenAI are the backbone of mapping search query, or like the client with the ad. With Google, we're talking about additional information.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You can add certain things Google can't scrape from your website.
Exactly.
It's a different and way more sophisticated game.
Yes, exactly. And I also feel like they're a little stuck in the middle here between, is this a kind of like more like a push targeting based campaign like you'd have on paid social, or is it more of a pull intent matching campaign like you'd have on Google Ads? Because, like this CPM type element and this feels like what do you expect from a social ad, and there's a potential for them to just, or I don't know, it's muddy right now.
Yes, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And why emotional is the wrong word. why it just triggers me a bit is 102 billion by 2030. I mean, and let's face it, 2030 is around the corner. And man, you shared a lot of the wisdom with the world already with regards to e-commerce and beyond. But I really have your quote in mind that it's just not that easy to build an ad environment, tech stack, which really is able to scale. And that's what Google has done better than anyone else. And it seems like that OpenAI, I mean, it's beyond me. If you had asked me the question, who has rather still keywords in their ad environment, OpenAI or Google? I mean, what would be the answer, right?
You'd expect Google.
Of course.
Google was built on the keyword.
Yes.
If Google would build Google Ads today, they would build a keyword list.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have keywords.
And OpenAI as this LLM, as this
the next generation,
the next gen search platform.
I mean,
it's
there. Let's view it from a different angle as well. Like there could be some benefits here because Microsoft, for example, they purposely clone Google as exactly as they can because
I love that strategy.
Yeah, people know Google, they're comfortable with it, so they want to increase the comparability. They want to make it like it's basically just an extension of what you're already doing. It's zero friction. Come on, advertise over here too. We have some people you don't reach, but that is not the ambition level that OpenAI is talking about, and that's not the value proposition that they need. And I don't think that would satisfy their investors to say we're going to clone Google Ads. But they have these ex-Meta engineers and ex-Google engineers and PMs and stuff helping them build the app product. So this is something good for them. They've got people who've done it before. And I'm not saying that they can't succeed here, but I mean, they have a viral consumer product. To me, this is most comparable to like TikTok, a viral consumer product. And I would debate. I actually think that TikTok is way stickier and way more addictive for a mass market. But that is the asset, is that audience. And, this tech needs to improve a lot. So, I mean, one last thing I'll mention is that they do have an OpenAI Pixel that's going to be available. So conversion tracking will be coming soon. And that is the absolute must-have, of course.
Must-have,
yeah.
Look, we'll find out. And by the way, it's. I hope it doesn't come across the wrong way. We're not happy about this. It seems like a rocky start.
Yeah.
But for me, it maybe it even says more about how great of a job Google has been doing over the years than it says about OpenAI, because they will work their asses off. They have smart people. They hired all the smart advertising people, right? Especially from Meta. I think it's just not that easy to quote you again, and it will take time. And 2030 is around the corner.
Yeah.
And I think the ads business of Microsoft overall is crossing at around, what is it, 50 to 60 billion? Maybe I get fact checked here. So what? Because it's not about being comparable to Google. You have to be disruptive in order to crack this 100 billion within the next 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where it doesn't add up.
They need to have an amazing product. Like, I think they have a great audience asset, but they're going to need to have an amazing product and an amazing value proposition as well. And by the way, to hit those numbers, it's not about just bringing on the advertisers and stuff. Like their CPMs are going to have to come down, or their CPCs, whatever. They'll have to be somehow competitive. So things have to come down to market standards, and they'll need to show a whole lot more ads to a lot more people. And the question is, like, will users accept that experience?
Yes.
Sam Altman himself is skeptical of that user experience. And then you go over to Gemini, and there's, for the time being, no ads, and there's no plan for ads.
It's a complex situation, and at the end of the day, and for all the right reasons, online retailers or retailers in general doing e-commerce, they will be very, very much focused on incrementality of the return on ad spend.
Yes.
And so this is maybe the last piece of the puzzle, but maybe the most important one. Yes, they have to solve the environment in general. It has to be more functional. The usability has to completely change. But at the end, it has to work.
Yes.
In terms of cold, hard KPIs.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a long way to go. And that's why I think the 102 billion, maybe it will be 99 billion. No,
Let's see.
I think it's way too bullish.
Yes.
Because it's a red ocean. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah. I just wonder how honest they're being with themselves. Do they believe this? Is this for investors? Who needs to hear that 102 billion?
The vice president of sales is probably pitching this to Sam, and I believe that. Let's go. No, it's too bullish for sure.
Yes. And they're not publicly traded right now, so but
this, by the way, this will change everything. Once they're publicly traded.
Yeah.
And you have this beautiful quarterly earnings calls.
Yes.
Where they're, streets estimate and you miss them badly. Yeah. So it's not a great place to be in. And by the way, mostly rooted into these very, very unrealistic and sometimes cocky statements from a couple of persons from this company, because the product is still great.
Yeah.
I love ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, there's a very damning profile written about Sam recently, and
we talked about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope they succeed. But great insights, man.
Yeah.
Anything else from the information we got? How the ads ecosystem is looking like? So there's keywords. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, quick footnote there. There's also negative keywords.
Negative keywords, but limited, right?
Yeah, these are. I think there's like 25 is the limit, and I believe that's in per campaign.
On campaign level.
They even say that this is intended for brand safety purposes, stuff like that. But 25 is that number is going to go up. I'll tell you right now.
It has to.
Yeah, that number is going to go up because advertisers. We've been through all this before.
Yes.
But I don't know what kind of reporting there will be. Is there going to be an equivalent of search term reporting or stuff like that? It's all very uncertain right now. Yeah. But I do not believe, if this thing is some kind of, let's say, broad match equivalent or keywordless equivalent, and these keywords are adding in for some kind of hint to the model, or to how it matches. Advertisers, they want to know their placements. We've been through this with Google, and already right there, if it's a black box, that's going to hurt.
My final statement of today is, who the big winner here is, right?
Google.
It's Google.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding, because the more people adopt this environment they have to operate in, I'm talking about OpenAI, they will be like, holy shit, why I've been so harsh on Google?
Yes.
They actually did a fantastic job.
People say PMax is a half-baked product.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what half-baked looks like. This wasn't even in the same room as the other.
No, but it is what it is. We keep you posted here. It's super interesting how this
seriously.
will
I promise you, this
will look different. Yeah,
those meta engineers, they're like taking their Zyn pouches. They're everything. They're working around the clock. They're using their Ozempic and all that stuff. And,
they will be all over it.
Yes,
but again, we are mid-2026. 2030 is approaching fast.
Yes.
And 100 billion is a hell of a revenue number.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, hold on. Last note. We should wrap this up, but things just keep popping in my mind. Reddit launched a PMax equivalent, by the way. It launched in January, and that was announced about 18 months prior. So took Reddit 18 months to build a PMax equivalent. And Reddit's environment is not as complicated as Google's. So
no.
And
not comparable.
Yeah.
By the way, and Reddit is working quite well for a lot of clients.
Yeah, Reddit. Yeah, I think Reddit is as interesting or more.
Yes.
But
that's the statement.
Hold on. Let's just.
We should cut this out.
Yeah. I really don't want to be so down on them. I just am.
And this will change, and we'll keep you posted. It's certainly super interesting.
I can't wait to eat my own words. It's gonna be great.
Yes. Let's wait. Time will make a fool.
Then let's wrap it. Thanks
of ourselves. All the best, man.
And then thanks everyone for joining us. This has been another episode of Growing E-commerce, brought to you as always by Smarter E-commerce. You can learn more by visiting smarter-ecommerce.com. As always, give us a shout out on LinkedIn or YouTube, comment anywhere where you think your podcast platform preference. We really appreciate it. It all helps. Thank you.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye-bye.